Yeah, good morning, students. So today we are continuing our second chapter of economic, and that is sectors of Indian economy. In this particular chapter, the first and second topics we have covered, and right now we are taking our next topic, that is comparing the three sectors. We have already discussed about the sectors. There are three sectors as we have discussed, and what kind of economical activities are going on in particular sectors that we have already discussed. So the various production activities in the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors produce a large number of goods and services. Here goods and services are written because in the third sector we are not producing any goods, or we are not producing any products, or we are not manufacturing any product. We are only giving services, and because of that the terms goods and services are written here. Also, the three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. The next step, therefore, is to see how much goods and services are produced and how many people work in each sector. In an economy, there could be one or more sectors which are dominant in terms of total production and employment, while other sectors are relatively small in size. So that is but obvious thing that if we are talking about all the three sectors, we have already studied that primary sector is the base sector, because whatever the things or whatever the raw materials we are getting from the primary sector, and on the basis of those raw material we are manufacturing anything, or we are manufacturing different other things which are very usable for human. Okay, so according to that, if we see the history of India especially, primary sector initially after independence it was the dominant sector. Okay, because at that time India was totally depending on agriculture. So that kind of situation always happens when one particular sector dominant on other two. Okay, and here we are trying to find out what kind of production and how much production each sector is giving, and how many people are working in each sector. Because on the basis of that, what we are trying to do, we are trying to find out GDP. And for a nation, GDP is very important, because for the purpose of development we have to focused on gross domestic product, that what kind of product and what is the exact production figure in our nation in an annual year, or you can say in a financial year. But GDP always we try to find out GDP quarterly, that we have already discussed in classes so many times. Okay, how do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? So that is very complicated task. Okay, because in different sector so many people are working, and the entire sector is elaborated throughout the nation. So that is a very complex task. So with so many thousands of goods and services produced, you might think this is an impossible task. Not only would the task is enormous, you might also wonder how we can add up cars and computers and nails and furnitures. It won't make sense. So if we are trying to include everything what we are producing in our industrial sector, or you can say in our secondary sector, from a small nail to a computer, or from a nail to a big locomotive or a car, so that will become very complicated. Because in that process what we have to do, we have to find out the cost of individual product, and then we have to club up each and everything, and finally we will get the entire figure. That is a very complicated task. So you are right, In thinking so, to get around this problem, economists suggest that the values of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. For example, if 10,000 kgs of wheat is sold at rupees 8 per kg, the value of the wheat will be rupees 80,000. The value of 5,000 coconuts at rupees 10 per coconut will be rupees 50,000. Similarly, the value of goods and services in the three sectors are calculated and then added up. So here we are individually calculating what we are trying to see in this paragraph. We are trying to calculate the entire cost of a particular product. So it is a very complicated task and which is not possible. Okay, remember there is one precaution one has to take. Not every good that is produced and sold needed to be counted. So that is very important thing, that all the goods that are produced and sold needs to be not to be counted. Okay, it makes sense only to include final goods and services. So that is the key thing here, that in the entire process what we are trying to do, we are trying to calculate the entire value of final goods. We are not including intermediary goods. Okay, in the process of finding GDP or in the process of calculating GDP, we are trying to include the value of final goods. We are not taking any intermediary goods. Okay, take for instance a farmer who sells wheat to a flour mill for rupees 8 per kg. The mill grinds the wheat and sells the flour to a biscuit company for rupees 10 per kg. The biscuit company uses the flour and things such as sugar and oil to make 4 packets of biscuits. It sells biscuits in the market to the consumers for rupees 60. Biscuits are the final goods, that is goods that reach the consumers. So first of all we are trying to find out what is the meaning of consumer here. Consumer means the person who is consuming the final goods. Okay, so in the process of finding GDP, we are including only the value of final goods. We are not including the value of intermediary goods, because if we will include the values of intermediary goods, it will become more and more complex or more and more complicated. Okay, why are only final goods and services counted? In contrast to final goods, goods such as wheat and the wheat flour in this example are intermediary good. Intermediate goods are used up in producing final goods and services. The value of the final goods already includes the value of all the intermediary goods that are used in making the final goods. So it is also important, the value of the final goods already includes the value of all the intermediary goods that are used in making the final good. So it is very important that why we are taking the values of final goods, because already in the value of final good all the different values of intermediary goods are included. Okay, hence the value of rupees 60 for the biscuits already includes the value of flour. Similarly, the value of all other intermediate goods would have been included. To count the value of the flour and wheat separately is therefore not correct, because then we would be counting the value of the same things a number of times. First as wheat, then as flour, and finally as biscuits. So this is one of the other reason why we are not including intermediary good, because we always have a doubt that if we will try to include intermediary good, it will count again and again. We have to count it again and again. In every step we have to count it again and again. Okay, so because of that we try to include only the value of final goods, the goods which are going directly to the consumers and the consumers are consuming those things. Is that clear? Okay, the value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sector for that year. So it is also very important. The value of the final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sector for that year. Here the financial year we are talking about, but in statistics we try to find out the value of GDP quarterly. Okay, so here it is talking about a year. Okay, in this we are talking about a year. So the entire value of final goods and services produced in a year during a particular year provides the total production of a sector. So by the process of this we can easily find out the entire production of a particular sector. Okay, and the sum of the production in the three sectors gives what is called the gross domestic product. Okay, so that is also important. The sum of the production of all the three sectors gives you what? Gross domestic product. It is important. Okay, it is the value of all the final goods and services produced within a country during a particular year. GDP shows how big the economy is. Actually it is very good that from last 2 decades our GDP is growing very fast. Okay, because now we are more economically stronger. Okay, and because of that it gives you the actual size of your economy, how big the economy of your nation is. Okay, and because of that it is important. In India, the mammoth task of measuring GDP is undertaken by a central government ministry. Here the meaning of mammoth task is, it is a very difficult task and complicated task, and it is done by whom? It is done by central government ministry. This ministry, with the help of the various government departments of all the Indian states and union territories, collects information relating to the total volume of the goods and services and their prices, and then estimates the GDP. So that is the task of central government ministry, and on regular basis they will collect all the datas in different sectors, from different sectors, and finally they will club up all the entire values or the entire production of each sector, and finally after clubbing those entire production of each sector they will get GDP. Okay, is that clear? So today I'm stopping this video here. Okay, we will continue this chapter later on. Thank you very much.